Did you know that some of the most exciting open-source LLMs today can run locally on a single consumer-grade GPU and still deliver usable responses? It sounds almost too good to be true, but with Mistral, it's becoming a reality for developers, startups, and researchers who want speed, control, and privacy without bank-breaking cloud bills. If you're curious about a future where you can deploy powerful language models without sacrificing data sovereignty or draining your budget, stay tuned. Today we're diving into Mistral, the open-weight LLM family that's changing the game for on-device and on-prem AI. Let's set the stage with a real-world dilemma. Imagine you're heading up product development at a mid-sized SaaS company. You want to build a smart assistant that can answer customer questions, draft personalized emails, and summarize support tickets. You'd love it to run in-house to keep confidential user data out of third-party clouds. And you want to experiment with different personalities and styles without racking up cloud costs. But the moment you start calculating cloud inference fees, latency, and the time it takes to tune a model for your exact domain, the dream begins to look expensive and complex. You might be dreaming of a way to iterate quickly without locking yourself into a single vendor, contracts, or a sprawling infrastructure. That's where Mistral steps in. Mistral is an open family of large language models designed with speed, efficiency, and accessibility in mind. Rather than locking you into a proprietary black box, Mistral gives you flexible, open-weight models you can deploy locally, on-prem, or in your chosen cloud, with a focus on practical performance and developer-friendly tooling. The result is a solution that scales with your needs, from a single high-end workstation to a distributed inference cluster, without sacrificing control over your data or your budget. Here are the key features that make Mistral stand out. First, it's an open-weight family. Mistral provides weights and architectures that you can inspect, modify, and fine-tune. This isn't a locked-in service, it's a foundation you can study, extend, or rebrand for your own products. Knowing the weights are open gives you a level of transparency that's particularly valuable for regulated industries or teams that want to audit model behavior and guardrails. You can pull the models into your own environment, tailor them to your domain, and keep ownership of what you've built. Second, you get efficiency without sacrificing capability. Mistral models are designed for speed and a smaller memory footprint, which means you can run them on consumer GPUs with reasonable throughput. With quantization techniques and careful architectural design, you can shave off the memory and compute requirements while preserving quality enough for real-world tasks like chat, summarization, and code-related prompts. This approach opens up the possibility of local inference, faster iteration cycles, and dramatically reduced cloud costs. Third, you have powerful fine-tuning and customization options. Mistral supports adapting the base models to your specific domain, tone, and audience. Whether you want to inject your internal terminology, align the model with your brand voice, or teach it to follow particular safety and style guidelines, the tooling is built to help you do it without requiring you to start from scratch. In practice, you can use adapters, LoRa-style fine-tuning, or other modular methods to push the model toward your preferred behavior while keeping the core architecture intact. Fourth, it plugs into modern developer workflows. Mistral is designed to work nicely with popular ML and AI ecosystems. You can integrate it with Hugging Face transformers, LangChain for building AI-powered apps, or other common toolchains you already rely on. That compatibility matters because it lowers the barrier to entry and speeds up your development cycle. You don't have to re-architect your entire stack to begin using a powerful open model. You bring your existing tooling, and Mistral slides into place. Fifth, you get flexible deployment options and governance. You can run Mistral locally, on private servers, or in your chosen cloud environment, giving you control over latency, cost, and data governance. For teams that must comply with data privacy requirements, or for those who want to minimize external dependencies, this flexibility is a big win. In addition, you can set up monitoring, evaluation, and safety guardrails tailored to your use case, enabling responsible usage patterns across internal apps, customer-facing assistants, or developer tools. Now let's move into a hands-on, practical walkthrough. Imagine you do this. Imagine you set up a clean project environment on your workstation. You install Python, create a virtual environment, and install a couple of dependencies that you know play nicely with LLMs. Things like a lightweight inference engine and a small set of utility libraries. You then download a Mistral model weight file from the official OpenWeight release channel. You've got a couple of GPU options, but your setup is friendly enough that you're aiming for something you can run on a 24 to 32 GB GPU, or you've got a multi-GPU setup and you can scale. Imagine you load the model into your notebook or your small app, using the standard libraries that the Mistral ecosystem supports. You test a simple prompt, summarize the current ticket for a non-technical audience, then draft a brief follow-up email. In seconds, you see a concise summary and a fluent email draft appear on screen. The model is responding quickly enough for an interactive session, and you're taking note of the style, how closely it matches the tone you want, where it tends to over-elaborate, and where it falls short. You jot down a few tweaks you'll apply with prompts or with a small adapter layer. Next, you experiment with control and alignment. You test a few guardrails, you constrain the output length, you instruct the model to avoid sensitive topics, you push it to cite sources, or you require it to respond with a structured answer format. You realize you can tune the model's behavior without retraining from scratch, just by adjusting prompting patterns, adding a lightweight adapter, or configuring the inference settings to steer creativity versus accuracy, faster generation versus more thorough explanations. The result is a model that behaves more like the assistant you want, not the one-size-fits-all default you started with. Now imagine you need to build a small customer-facing assistant. You wire the model into a conversational interface, maybe wrapped in a simple API layer. You design a few intents, answering product questions, routing complex inquiries to humans, and generating proactive tips for onboarding new users. Your prompts are crafted to guide the model toward helpfulness while you keep a human in the loop for edge cases. You monitor latency. Your goal is sub-second responses in day-to-day queries, with longer, deeper responses reserved for more involved tasks. You can also log interactions for continual improvement, adding new examples to your fine-tuning data and tweaking guardrails based on user feedback. If you want to explore more integration, imagine you're building a knowledge-assisted assistant for internal teams. You connect Mistral to your knowledge base, CRM, and ticketing system. The model pulls in context from recent tickets, suggests draft replies, and even composes internal notes you can share with teammates. You're not calling a black box API, you're orchestrating real data sources with a transparent, controllable model. That's the beauty of Mistral. You stay in the driver's seat, choosing when to fetch data, how to reason about it, and how to present the final response to a user. Let's talk about the pricing and plans to give you a sense of the practical math behind adopting Mistral. There are free and paid tiers designed to fit different needs and budgets. On the free side, you typically get access to community model weights and the core open source tooling. This lets individuals, hobbyists, and early-stage projects experiment, prototype, and learn without any upfront cost. You can run local inference, develop demos, and validate concepts. The trade-off is that you'll have limited hosting options, limited or no guaranteed support, and constraints around enterprise features, deployment scale, and service levels. On paid plans, you get more. There are hosting and inference options with higher throughput, better SLAs, and priority support. You also unlock more robust deployment features, enterprise-grade governance tools, and the ability to run larger models depending on your hardware and account tier. In practice, teams can scale from a few concurrent conversations to many parallel sessions, all while keeping data under their control. If your use case requires private deployments, enhanced security configurations, or dedicated support from the Mistral team, the paid plans are designed to cover that need. Now, an important note about how to get started and how to think about costs. If you're evaluating Mistral for a side project, the free route is an excellent way to learn, test concepts, and demonstrate a working prototype within a contained environment. If you're building a product, especially for production use, you'll want to consider the paid options to ensure reliability, throughput, and governance, as well as access to more advanced features that support teams at scale. The beauty here is you can start small, validate your use case, and then scale up as your requirements grow. If you're listening and thinking, I want to try this today, I've got you. I'll drop the link in the description so you can check out Mistral, review the model families, and explore the exact pricing tiers that fit your situation. Whether you're a researcher exploring capabilities, a startup building an AI-powered product, or an enterprise ensuring compliance and control, Mistral provides a path that aligns with your goals. I'll drop the link in the description. To maximize value, here are a few practical tips as you start using Mistral. First, choose the right model size for your hardware and latency goals. Smaller models are faster and cheaper to run locally, but you want enough capacity to handle the complexity of your prompts. Second, start with structured prompts and guardrails early. For customer support, train the model to respond with short, actionable steps and to avoid sensitive content unless explicitly allowed. Third, take advantage of adapters or fine-tuning to align the model with your domain. This makes a surprising difference in relevance and tone without the overhead of full retraining. Fourth, leverage existing tools in your stack for deployment. If you already use LangChain or a similar framework, you can integrate Mistral as a smooth, compatible backend. Fifth, monitor and iterate. Capture feedback from real users, refine prompts, and add new examples to your fine-tuning dataset. The loop is where you'll see consistent improvements over time. If you're curious about the practical outcomes, consider a scenario where you've deployed a Mistral-powered assistant in your customer success team. The model handles common inquiries, drafts follow-ups, and surfaces knowledge-based responses drawn from your internal docs. It reduces average handling time, increases first contact resolution, and keeps sensitive data in your own environment. You maintain control over what data leaves your network, and you can adjust model behavior as policies evolve. It's not about replacing humans, it's about augmenting them, freeing up time for high-impact work, and maintaining a level of consistency across interactions that's hard to achieve with a purely human team. Let me summarize the takeaways. Mistral is an open-weight family designed for practical, scalable AI deployment. It emphasizes efficiency, customization, and compatibility with modern AI tooling. It enables local, on-prem, or cloud deployment with an emphasis on data control and cost-effectiveness. It supports fine-tuning and adapters to tailor models to your domain, and it fits smoothly into common developer workflows, reducing the friction of getting useful AI into your apps and processes. The pricing model gives you a path to experiment for free and scale to production with paid tiers when you need higher throughput, guarantees, and governance features. Remember, you don't have to wait for a perfect moment to experiment. You can start with a local setup, validate your use case, and then decide how aggressively you want to scale. The open nature of Mistral means you're building on a foundation that you can understand, inspect, and extend, rather than trusting your outcomes to a closed, opaque service. That transparency is empowering for developers who want to grow their AI capabilities without surrendering control. If this was helpful, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload, and drop a comment below. I'll see you in the next one.